demos in all classes, and my laptop is pretty messed up. Okay, so I'm using an old PC at my home just to show you that you can use any old machine and get away with the programming for Spark. So if there is any hiccups, touch wood, if there is any hiccups, I may have to stop it halfway and then maybe take the rest of the demo in the next session or whatever it is. Okay? So this is an unplanned demo, as you can see. But I'm hoping, given that we have done it many times, we shouldn't have much problems with these things. Okay, so I'm going to move on. So as you can see, these are the key steps that you got to do if you want to repeat the machine setup at home. The first thing is you got to have a Jdk installation. So normally when you have a Jdk installation, what happens is it goes and sits in your program files. So your program files, you'll have a folder called Java, and inside the Java, you probably will have any kind of Jdk installation that you want. What I've realized is Jdk 8 is pretty stable with the kind of Spark that we are using and the Scala that we are using. So the first thing is you go to Oracle website and then download a Jdk that is useful. So in my case, you can see that I have an existing Jdk. I think I did it somewhere in December for some other work. So the Jdk right now I have is 1H191. I think right now the number is 122 or 124. It doesn't matter. Just get a decent Java Jdk installed and make sure that it sits on one of your folders. So in my case, in my PC, you can see that it is sitting in C program files and Jdk. I've not done anything else, so I'm going to walk you through all the other steps. So if you have questions, feel free to ask me, stop me, or whatever it is. You just give me a shout out in the chat. I will be continuously doing things, but in between, if you have questions, I'll collect the questions in the chat. I'll take it. If it is not clear, then you can please group chat so that we can hear you. It is better if we speak it orally, right? The reason I'm asking you to chat first is to create a queuing system so that I can attend to things differently. Okay, so these are the key steps to set up your own machine. Okay, so if you have your own machine and this one is running Windows, these are the steps that you got to do. The first thing is you got to install a Jdk version. The second thing is you got to install a Scala version. But then we'll install this SBT tool, and then we'll have a few other things. Of course, I can do the whole HDFS, but that will be too much of a demo. So I'm going to skip HDFS part. We'll just do the Hadoop and Spark installation. Okay? So once the Scala and SBT is done, maybe in between, I'll just rearrange these steps. Okay? So once the Scala, there is a Scala that you got to do. I just typed it randomly, so it may not be as organized. So you do the Scala installation, then you do the Scala Ide installation, then you do the SBT installation. Maybe even then, yeah, that's right. So then you do the Spark installation, and then of course we will show you how to create a very simple project, connect all the libraries. So wish me luck. Let's get started. So now that Jdk is installed, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to download a Scala installation and then show you how to set up the variable. Okay, so for that I'm going to use the browser. So maybe I should start sharing. So I'm going to share the whole screen. Bear with me if I have to go in and out sometimes, which happens. So as you can see, this is what we were trying to do. Okay, the Jdk is already installed. I'm going to start doing from Scala installation. Right? So Scala download MSI. So you got to look for the MSI file that comes in. Just say download Scala programming languages. As you can see, the Scala basically comes in multiple versions. The version that is quite useful for us is basically 2.11. So you can see that right now the version that is here is 2.13. This one is a bit too high. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it down. So I'm going to look for slightly older version. So this one is 2.13. I got to look for previous releases of Scala. So here you can see there are multiple. I'm going to take the 2.11. So that seems to be the most stable build. Okay. So I'm going to pick 2.11. Okay. And you can see that it picks me to the binaries. I'm going to select that. Oh, I didn't pick 2.11. I picked 2.12.11. Stupid of me. I'm going back. 211, 211, 12, 211. Yeah, 211, 12 seems to be the recent, right? So this is the version that the Spark understands. So that is why I'm going to pick 211, 12. So I selected that, and then I'm going to install the binaries. So you can see that it is going to show me the installer package. Just to keep it simple, I'll do it on the desktop so that we can show you how it works. So this is the Scala version. So if you select that, you can see that's an installer inside. Just go ahead with the installer. Have you ever read any licenses? No, I've never read any licenses in my life, so I'm just going to accept this as well. Hopefully they don't take away my paycheck. I heard Zoom is trying to hack people's account. Okay? So when you're using Zoom, there are 1 or 2 outages. Make sure you clean the cookies often and things like that. So this is going to take a bit of time, I guess. Okay? So maybe I will go back to the browser and then start downloading the second one. Oh no, not that bad. Okay, so it asked me for a warning. When I said yes, it goes ahead. So Scala is installed, as you can see. And if you want to go and see where it is installed, in my case, it is always Program 86 because that's a place where it goes and looks for it. Okay? So the folder is usually Scala Program 86 Scala. Okay? So let's verify that, for instance. Okay, so if you look into the C drive, program files, you can see that it has a folder called Scala, right? So this is where the Scala installation happens. The next thing is to download the Scala Ide. It's usually a zip file, so it's not an installer like your Sbt or Scala. So go back to your browser. I think this is what we used. No, this is the one, right? So go back to your browser, just say download Scala Ide. Okay. So if you go there, there are plenty of versions. Just pick the latest ones because that's sort of easy. I'm using a Windows 64-bit machine, so I'm picking Windows 64. If you have slightly different versions, you should be using that as well. Okay? And for all the kind of unzipping, I would recommend you to try 7-zip because anything that comes from the Linux kernel family doesn't work well with Windows zip, the one that comes default in your Windows operating system. So to be safer, be it Spark, be it Scala, be it SBT, whenever you want to use the unzipping tool, make sure that you pick the 7-zip tool. So that's a very standard tool and that understands Linux format. So that will give you usually error-free unzipping. Okay, so you can see that it is here. So I'm going to probably copy that, bring it to maybe C drive, and as I said, this is basically a very simple zip file, right? So you can see it comes as a zip file, and then where I'm storing this is I'm going to store this on C drive, directly on C drive. So I right click, there are many options. I'm picking the 7-zip. I'm going to say extract it here. So that basically unzips it as a Eclipse folder, as you can see. And if you open it up, you can see that it gets you the Scala Ide. You remember we have tried this in the Scala workshops, right? So this is not very difficult for you to try. Okay, so that's fine. If you are using Anaconda, Python, go ahead. You can do the same things there. Okay, but since I'm not going the Python version, we are still sticking to Scala. I'm showing you how to do the Scala Ide. Now then the next one, so this is done. Okay, so you can create a shortcut. Okay, so you can create a shortcut. I'm going to call this as rename EBA 5006 Scala Ide. So I'm using this for this particular course. So I've just created it and I can send this to desktop. Up to you, you can do whatever is comfortable to you. Okay, so I created a shortcut. And the next thing I need is the SBT tool. Okay, so let's see how to do that. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my browser. And this time I'm going to look for SBT Msi. Okay, so it's a installer, Msi installer. So you can see it goes into the reference here. Okay. So normally SBT is a zip tool. If I'm using the Linux kernel, I'll be picking the zip tool and using it. Because I'm using Windows, I'm going to pick the installer here. Good. I got it. So I'm going to actually save it on the desktop again. Okay, so that seems to be done. Okay, so we are here. The MSI is done. So let's get it downloaded as well, installed as well. So this is SB Scala is done. Oh, where is my? Okay, so here is my SBT. So I'm going to run that. So after the usual warning, you can see that it is going to allow me to run the codes. Okay? Not very difficult thing to do. So you can see that it goes and installs in the program 86. So in the program 86, you can see that is SBT. So this is where the SBT is installed itself. So I have a folder path there. So let me just copy that as well. My copy is suddenly not working. Pre-mind SBT. Okay, I think copy, paste. So Zoom is not keyboard friendly. Control C, Control V is discouraged. Okay, so that's fine. Then the thing is, you have to have a tool called WinUtils. Okay? I can't show you where to download it. You can actually Google for it. Okay? So you can say that you need a WinUtils. The thing I can't share this is it's an exe file. So as you can see, you have to find it out from some place. So you can go in here and see which WinUtils is useful for which version. Okay? So there is a guy got guy's work, Steve. Steve writes it very sincerely for every version of it. So you can go and pick in whichever version that you're working for and then use that. So 8.1 or 3 or whatever it is. Okay, so you can actually build it from scratch, or he has a version checked in. You can use that as well. Okay. So I can't show you how to. You can try. Hadoop 2.7 is stable, so we can take that. So you see this WinUtils, you can pick this. Okay. So you can download this and keep. Okay. So I can show you how to do it, not a big deal. But make sure that you don't have security settings and all that. So it's a very simple exe file, as you can see. And once you have this, you have to put it somewhere on the drive. I think I already did it. I remember trying this like 1 year ago. Let me see. Yeah, you see, I have it. 2018, I've done this. Oh man, that's a bit old. Let's try this one. Let's see the properties of this one. This one is 2020's recent one. So I'm going to delete this and then use it here. So C Windows bin. So this is for your WinUtils. So this is all we have done. The last thing that was pending is Spark. I did it in 2018. I don't know what version it is. Let's check. You see, do I have a Spark? Oh, mine is 233. Can we use the same thing? 2332. Not a big deal, right? So you can do that. Otherwise, I'll show you how to download these. So what you do is you open up a browser, say Spark download. So you can pick any version. I would recommend don't go 3.3 is basically alpha version, not safe. Okay? So you can see it is built for 2.7. Yeah, Windows Utils is also for 2.7, so I'm going to pick this. So I picked 2.4.5. I'm saying get me the zip file. 2.4.5 is an upgrade, so let me just take the recent one and show you no harm. Okay, I'll put again this in the desktop as well. And let's wait for it to finish. It's a slightly bigger file, as you can guess. Right? So give it a minute. Okay? So, and then we are done. So in the meanwhile, you may have to set up environment variables. Okay? So just look for edit system environment variables and have this ready. So you're going to put in all these variables as proper system variables. You can actually use them as user variables as well. I'm doing it as system variable because it always works on any machine in that case. Okay? Easy for us. And then so we're going to use this soon. Once we have unzipped it, we have everything ready, then we can download this. So I don't have a D drive in this PC, so I'm going to use it in the C drive only. Okay, so I'm going to use that, and then I'm going to include that in the path as well. Okay, so the download is over. Okay, so let me pick that. It's be a zip file, so it is here. I'm going to move this to probably C drive first. Okay, C drive. Just like I did my Scala. Okay. So maybe I'll just delete this so that it doesn't get me any confusion. It's a slightly older version, as you can see, 232. I was trying it for my fun times, good old times. I had more time those days. Now it is 245. So select that 7-zip and then extract it here. Okay, so that should help. So it's a bit safer to use 7-zip. So that's the only thing that you've got to be careful about. So what have we done so far? We downloaded Jdk, we installed it. I actually used whatever is existing. Scala, we downloaded the MSI, we installed it. Scala Ide, we got the zip file, we installed it. Sbt, we had the Sbt Msi, we installed it. WinUtils is a very simple exe. I taught you where to look for it. And then we used it as well. So Spark download again came in a zip file. So I'm just trying to uninstall that. And once the installation is over, I can put this under path as well. So now that all this is done, the last key step is to set environment variables. So we'll do that. Okay, so while this extraction is happening, maybe we can start doing this here. Okay, so I'm going to open the environment variables. You're free to do it here as well as in the system variable. You do it here, it only works for your username. You do it here, it works for any user who uses your PC. Okay? So up to you, whatever you want. So you can see that I've been trying an account and local. This part is fine. So let me come here. So I'm going to set up variables. So you can see that I got to set up everything starting from Java Home. So let me see if I have a Java Home. There's no Java Home, so I got to create one. So I'll say edit, cancel, sorry, new. I'm going to call this as Java underscore home. Okay. Then I got to put in the Java Home folder here. So I'm just going to copy that and put it here without blank space. Correct, without blank space. Be careful about it. So Java Home is great. The next one is Scala Home. And then I got to create a variable for that. There's no Scala Home currently. So I'm going to call this as Scala and Scala Home. and I'm going to point that to the Scala folder. Okay, so this is Scala Home. Okay. Then I need to create SBT Home. There is already one, and it is pointing to the right folder. It's just that the backslash is fine. Edit. So yeah, so SBT. Okay. So I pointed it to the SBT folder. Then I need Hadoop Home, which has to point to the Windows utility, Windows utils. I think it is already there. Let me check. Hadoop Home. Yeah, Win utilities. That is also there. Only the bin folder is missing. We can add it in the path variable. Okay, not a big deal. Then the Spark download for some reason is going on. Oh, access denied. Okay, so I'm going to try again. Extract files. Okay. Wow. Stupid of me. Okay, so again, oh, there's another one. Okay, extract files. I know why. I hope I used the 7-zip. Let me. Did I see? When I do things so fast, I really get confused. Just give me a moment. Let me delete it. Okay, so that's done. So let me try again. 7-zip. Extract files. C drive. There's a double extraction. That's because Linux uses double compression. Okay. So I'm going to use that again. Then again say extract. So what I have to do is, oh, both file names are stupidly the same. Okay, so what I got to do is rename it. So for now, I'll rename this something old, so that I can bring this up. Very silly, right? Okay, never mind. Then I can delete the intermediate because I already have the original zip. So which means this is fine. So this is my Spark Home. Okay. So once I do the Spark setup, unzip and set it to the folder, I gotta use the Spark Home as well. Okay, so I'll come back to my environment variable. Do I have a Spark Home? No, I don't have. So I create one Spark Home and I put the Spark as well. Done, right? Okay, good. So now that everything is done, you got to put these things into path. That's all. Okay. So what I do is you can see that these are the variables: Hadoop Home, Java Home, Scala Home, SBT Home, and so on. I'm going to include all these things into my regular path variable. So let me edit the path first. So you can see that it already has all the root files. It has the Scala bin, so maybe I should edit this. I should say Scala Home percentage to bring the variable again /bin. And then this one edit percentage SBT Home percentage /bin. Then I'll say new percentage Java Home percentage /bin. Then I say new percentage Hadoop Home percentage /bin. Then what else is missing? Spark Home. So new percentage home percentage bin. Correct? Okay. So what is the order? Java has to be first. Okay, so then only I can. This one I'll remove. I'm using Java, which I have installed. Then Scala, then SBT, then probably Spark, and then maybe Hadoop first, then Spark. That's the order, right? I mean, you need Java to run Scala, SBT to run Scala, Hadoop to run all these three, then Spark. So that's the order, right? So you've done all these things. Then okay. So how do we test whatever we have done is right or wrong? Just open a command prompt. Use C drive. So just say Java version. Let's see which version is coming up. 191. Brilliant. Just say Scala version. So let's see what is coming up. We have 2.11.12, which is what we installed, which is good. SBT, is it working? Good, it is working. Okay. So controls Q to quit. Okay. So SBT is working, Java is working. I'm sure Hadoop and Spark works as well. You don't have to do a command line for these things, but I think you can try. So if you go into this Spark bin, you see all this that you need is coming in as command lines. Okay? So if you want to run PySpark, you just say PySpark. If you want to run the shell-based Spark, you can say Spark dash shell. This should work. But you can see it's a long process. So, so you can see that the Spark is also working. But if you want to use PySpark, of course, you can also say PySpark. Okay? So again, you know that there'll be so many allow access by. Okay? So if you want to see what's the Spark context, you print it, you get a Spark context. So you remember we taught you all these things in Linux kernel, right? The same thing in Windows. It's just that you don't have the power of Linux. Like you don't have raw files, you don't have query engine, you don't have a cluster. Otherwise, technically, both environment are just the same. So now that we have done until the Spark installation, the next thing is to create a Scala project and then be able to connect it to here. Can you please bear with me another 15 minutes so that I can show you the full rest of the full steps? Then we can take a break. I know some of you are listening for past 1 hour. I have a habit of always giving you a break in 1 hour. But I just need another 10 to 15 minutes to finish this demo. Then we can take a break. Can you give me a shout out or does somebody really needs a break? Are we okay to go further? Any chat will be helpful? Great. Okay, thanks. Okay, so this is how you know that you're, let's continue. Thanks. Okay, so you can see that Scala works, Java works, SBT works, and Spark works. We are all ready to go. So you can quit the screen, quit the Spark shell by saying Control C, Control Q, I guess. Control D, sorry. Control Q works, Control D. Control D is quit. So now that you have all the systems ready, now the next job is to start doing a program. So how do I do that? The problem is, SBT is a researchy tool. So 1 or 2 hacks are there. So that's why I have to do the demo. Otherwise, I can say all these tools are working super fine. You go and try figuring out yourself. So what I'm going to do now until 1 until 6, the setup is over. Okay? So now we have to create our project and start coding our project, right? So I'm going to show you how to do that. So you can see that there is a little bit of hack here and there. So I'm going to show you all the hacks so that you understand things that goes wrong and how you can fix those things when things go wrong. So let's use the Scala Ide. Of course, you're using Anaconda, Juniper. Then since your PySpark is working, you can connect this in your Juniper and then continue if you're going PySpark track and then also be done with this. Okay? I need a workspace. Can I use a new workspace? I'm going to call this a Sbt 500. Oh, what subject is this? I'm so confused. EBA 5006. Okay? Workspace launch. This is what happens when you're continuously talking. Great. So this is your workspace. Now that you have it ready, so that should help us complete the rest of the steps. So you have to create a Scala project first. Okay? So that's what I'm going to show you now. So just create a Scala project, and then we're going to use the SBT tool. Okay? So then I'm going to show you how to use the SBT tool and get things done. Okay? So there's a bit of hack here and there, but I'll show you how to do that. Okay? And then of course you can start coding. Okay? So we'll show you how to use the coding and then start testing the codes that you have created. So right click new Scala project. You have done this many times in the workshops, so you know this very nicely. Okay, so I'm going to call this a Spark demo code. Okay, so use my Jdk, then nothing else, just finish. So we have this. So now that you have this Spark demo, that's enough. Okay? So now you have to, so you can see that you have Scala connected. You can see that you have GRE connected. Okay? You can try changing the Scala to 211 now, but anyway it will overwrite. Okay? So let's do it again. Okay? So you need 211, but you can do it again. So you can see that you can have the source file with the symbol. You see the source symbol. So that basically means it recognizes the code. So once you have done that, just close your project. Okay? You can exit it. So to use the SBT tool, I need to go to the workspace and create two SBT files. I'm going to show you how to do that now. Okay? So let's open the Explorer that we just now used. So let me see, you have created the workspace here and you have created the project here, SBT demo here. Okay? So here, what you're going to do is you have to create a new folder called project. Project. And then what you're going to do is you've got to create a file called project.sbt. If you right click and say new file, it will only create a text file. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a command shell here. Okay, so I'll just, you can either create a command shell here or you can create a shortcut like I do. Whichever it is your wish. Okay, so if you want to create a shortcut, normally what I'll do is I'll say new shortcut command.exe. Then I have it always there. Then I can say you have to start that in not in Windows System 32, but you want to start it in, sorry, you want to start it inside the project folder, right? So I'll use this and say start it in this folder. Properties, start it inside this folder. Up to you. Yeah? Or you can simply open this command and just say command.exe. That also starts a command. Yeah? So you can see that it is in this folder here. So now you've got to create just, what can I do? I can put in any contents and change it later, right? So I can say create project.sbt, or I can, this is why I like Linux. You can touch files and create files in Linux. I'm going to use, say, for example, WordPad so that it's easy for me to create a file. And I'll put some directory dump there. I can delete that. So you can see I've created an empty file by name project.sbt. So if you look at the file, right click properties, I've created a file called project.sbt. Or you can copy any SBT file and put it there as well. So now what do you have to add to this project.file? So just look for Sbt Eclipse Plug-In. So it's a very simple single line. So when you Google for it, it comes in. So you can see that you need to add this one line to start your Eclipse plugin. So just Google for Sbt Eclipse plugin. It gets you to the plugin. Inside the plugin notes, you have the line that you got to add. So just say add Sbt. And what you can do is you can select this, right click, copy, and bring it back to your folder. So you had a SBT file, right? So project SBT file, just add this one line here, save it. Okay, so that's the first file that we created. Let me take notes of it. So using the first SBT tool, you created a project. Inside the project, you created a folder called, inside the folder called, create a folder called project, and inside that, create project.sbt and put the one line of code. Okay, so create project.sbt and put the one line of code. The one line of code is nothing but just this. So a sub Eclipse. Okay, so once you're done with that, the next thing is you come back to the main project folder, which is Spark demo. So here you create any file with the build file. You can actually give any name. The extension should be .sbt. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this project folder into the root, and I'm going to rename this as build, just to differentiate. Like, you can still call this as project, no problem. Okay? So in this file here, I can put in any kind of plugin codes that I want. Okay? Say for example, if I have to run my, I'll go to my GitHub. Oh, why did I not sign in? So remember we did a lot of examples, right? So I'm going to take the Spark core example. So I'm going to take the build.sbt. So I'll take this and then use it here. So I'm going to call this, what did I call the project? I think I called it a Spark demo. So I'm going to use the name. Okay? So I'm going to say Spark demo. I need a 12, I need 11, I need Spark, I need a, so whatever Spark version. Xingshong is admitted. Did I miss anyone? Let me just look up. Okay, good. So you can also use a later version of Spark. I think what version we have included in the Spark folder. Let me check. So Spark demo. We have Spark 2.4.5. Okay, so you can even say 2.4.5 and then start using those libraries. Okay, so up to us. So I've just selected that and I save it. Okay. So what did we do? The last step. So we created a build.sbt and we put in anything that we want inside. So if you look into what we have put inside in this particular case, I'm just doing a small simple demo, right? So I'm going to show you how the Spark codes work. So you can see that I've just connected all the Spark libraries. See, there's no restriction on what you want to do. You want to use R, you can include it here. You want to use Tableau, you can connect it here. You want to use JFree chart, you can connect it here. Okay? So you can actually do whatever you want. So you say, for example, if you look into my machine learning example, right? So you can see that I've added more libraries. You remember when Venkat was showing you how to implement NoSQL, he used MySQL libraries. When Liufen was teaching you machine learning, she was using Graph. She used JFree chart, right? So this is why, because I've included all these things inside the SBT. So you can actually connect to any library you want. To keep this demo simple, I'm just connecting it to the basic version. Okay? So that's done. Okay? So we basically created an SBT, which is just using the Spark code. Okay, so that's fine. I close this SBT. Then the next thing here is to come back to the root. Okay? So just say cat. Oh, so this is not Linux. Okay, so the only way to look at the file is to, I could say out, never mind. Okay. So come here and this is the build file that is created. Okay, so wherever the build file is, here is where I'm going to call the SBT space Eclipse. Remember we do this right in Linux, the same thing in Windows. So I just say Sbt Eclipse, enter. So for the first time, it's going to take a bit of time. Okay? So it will go to the internet, get all the jar files. So you can see that it takes a bit of time. So it goes and collects all the jar files and then gets back a local copy and it keeps it for you to be able to start running the project. I didn't realize I was running this the first time. So it's going to take a bit of time to get in the jar files. So please be patient with that. In the meanwhile, if you have any questions, I'll take it. So let this be running. If you have questions, I can take it. Okay. So you can see that it is getting all the jar files. Okay. So give it some time. It will collect in all the jar files. And then, of course, you can set it up. So maybe it's a good time for us to take a break. So I'll keep this running. I'll keep the screen shared. So let's start. So by this clock, you can see we are around 7:46. You can adjust your clocks. We'll come back in 15 minutes. By that time, this build will be over. Then we can start showing you demo for the demo for the project. Okay? Understand that this will happen only once. The first time, it will take a lot of time. After that, it has all the libraries copied up in one of your locations. So after that, it's not going to make oh, it's quite fast, not bad, you know. Home connection, it is peak time. I'm doing this at 7:46, not bad. Okay. So I'm going to take a 15 minutes break because I've been continuously talking. So let's have a little break. Let this keep running. I'll come back and show you how to run the code. And then, of course, you have questions, I'll take it. If you have any questions, keep typing it in the chat. we'll go offline. We'll just continue. I'll mute my system for another 10-15 minutes, and then I'll come back and attend to your questions. Folks, you can see this is done. Brilliant, right? Okay. So I'm going to stop the recording now and then another 5 minutes break time, then we'll continue. Okay, so this is where we stopped. We used SBT tool. We created two SBT files. Then after creating the SBT file, what we did is we used the command prompt and ran the code, which is SBT Eclipse, right? This is where we were. So let me share my screen again. So this is where we were, okay? So you can see that it is successfully completed. Hopefully all the libraries are sorted. Let me go and check. Okay. So let's see. Okay, so we are done. We're done with all the command prompt work. Let's go back and see what has happened inside the project workspace. Okay, so we go back and launch the same workspace. So allow that to start. Okay, so I hope I'm recording. Let me check. I always do a lot of things in sequence and I forget what was my sequence. I'm getting more and more absent-minded with aging. Okay, so I'm still recording. Okay. So this is your Spark demo. Okay. Wait for it to recognize all the libraries. So you can see if you expand this, your Scala is 211, which is good. And you can see that the JRE that you connected is JDK. But now do you see that the reference library is increased? So there is a new thing called reference library, which was not previously done. So SBT is helping you with that. Okay? And so if you try to open this, you can see all the jar files are coming in. Of course, there was a comment that one or two incompatibilities exist, but that should be okay. Okay, so you're able to run the SBT tool and bring all these things. But you see, there's something nasty. The source is not recognized as source anymore. You remember we also had the same thing in the Linux virtual machine, right? So we had to fix that. Same thing in Windows, guys. Okay, so this is open source for you. Okay. So what you have to do is the same steps. You select the project, right click, properties, okay, come to Java build path, and you see the source is broken here. So add the folder as source. So, and once you do that, you can see that the source code is recognized. Okay, so that should help us. Okay. And so that's pretty much right, so you're ready to start running your codes. Okay. So we are ready to work on the codes. So right click. Okay. So done. So let's try to create a class. I'm sort of bored to type in now. So let me just take one example and show you. We did so many examples, right? So Spark Core. Starter app. Okay. So, this one is too much. I just want a simple example. Spark persistence. Why am I doing so much? Oh, this is Venkatji's workshop. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's take a very simple one. Spark demo. Yeah. So, yeah. So Spark demo. Okay, so I'm going to just try this out. Okay? I want a main method and I want to see if that runs. As simple as that. Okay? So I'm going to say call this new package. I'm going to call this as demo. Okay? Then I'm going to create an object. Right click new Scala object. Okay? Windows demo. Okay? Okay, so the machine is a bit slow than my mind. Then I copy the file and I say right click, can you please go and source import all the imports please. I don't want to do it by hand. Okay, good. So I'm just trying to pick a file. So this file is a HDFS file. This is where trouble comes. So can I just create a file in the root and then be able to do that? So let's see. So what I'll do is I'll go to C drive, I'll create a eBag workspace. So here I'll create a new text file, demo.txt. Right? So right click and set properties. It's called as sorry, click and save properties. It's called as demo.txt. Okay. And then what you can do is you can actually put word counts inside here. So for that, I'm just going to take all the text that we typed here and see, sorry, and see how you can count the words for it. So I selected it, I created a file, demo.txt, save it, and then where is the file residing? The file is residing in the workspace. Okay, so I'm going to bring it here. The only thing is I got to change this to \txt because it's the Linux kernel style. Okay, so it won't understand /, it can only understand \. So what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to take a file from C drive and I'm trying to do a word count of it. Okay, so I don't even need 2 CPUs. I might have multiple CPUs in my desktop, but I'm not sure. So let's see if this runs. If it runs, we can call this a day. Run as Scala application. You know how to switch off the logger, right? I've taught you that. So 27 words for this demo. Good. So this is how you get the codes working. So now I'm going to answer some queries that has come in. One of you asked me, how will you install Jdk? So I'm going to take that question first. So you remember I taught you all these things, right? Just open another browser, just say Jdk download. The only trouble is Jdk now asks you to log in. I don't have a user ID, or I might have, I don't remember. So you go to the Java SC download, and yeah, I accept all cookies. Yeah, Jdk download. You see, I have already created a ID. That's why it's allowing me. For you guys, it might ask you to create a new ID. So that's the only trouble. That's my thing against Jdk. I sort of stopped doing that inside the demo. So now you want an older release, right? So this one is 14. What we need is Jdk 8. Okay? So maybe I shouldn't say Jdk download. I'll say Jdk 8 download. This is 14, 13, 11, 8. So Jdk download. So since I have an account, it is directly coming to do this page. For you, it'll ask you to fill up a form. I'm sort of bored to do that. Okay, so that's why I skipped the demo. So you can see I have the Windows 64 here. Just download it. It's an exe. Next, install. That's it. It goes and sits inside your program files. Okay, so this is the folder where it goes and sits. So it'll go and sit inside your program files, Java. And what's the version? Now it's 241. So you will see that it is called as Java JDK 1H241. So that's for the question on JDK. The next thing is, how do I import build R into my build? That's a good question. So I want to use Spark R, right? I'm interested in getting Spark R. Just say Spark R Maven. Any library that you want, just say Maven. And then when you say Spark or Maven, you can see there will be a lot of links, but look for the MVN repository link. Okay? So Spark R. Spark in R. I have to know the file name. That's the trouble. I don't remember it immediately. So the Spark LYR. So that's the Spark LYR is the R library. So I'll say Spark LYR Maven. Then it gets me here, you see. Yeah. So now if you look into the Spark LYR, wow, this is not, let me just go Spark